to our webinar today, Engaging Upstream and Downstream Suppliers with Adidas and BCI. Thanks for joining us today. 2 Degrees is delighted to have with us Lena Staffgard and Ibru Ginkolo with us today for the presentation. Before we actually begin, I have a few technical instructions for the webinar. Any problems with the technology or the audio, use the chat box on the right-hand side to send a message. Post from the drop-down menu to send a message, and then I'll get back to you. Now we're going to hold a Q&A session at the end of both presentations. You can ask your questions anytime at all throughout the presentation. Just type your question into the Q&A box on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and then press send. If you'd like to connect through your phone, use the chat box to contact me for more details. With that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our first speaker. Lena, there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Vanessa. Hello, everyone. Thank you for dialing into this webinar today to learn more about better cotton and better business and supply chain. I don't know how much all of you know about BCI and better cotton, so I thought I'd introduce the initiative quite quickly and go through what we do and where we do what we do and with us. And then Eva will go into more detail about the Adidas experience with better cotton. So, why something better? Well, we believe everything can be made better. Our ambition is to make the bulk of the cotton supply more sustainable and not just a small fraction. Also very keen to make sure that the better is better for all. So we want to find a long-term sustainable solution, demonstrating business benefits to farmers, suppliers, and to retailers. Ultimately, we want to improve the conditions for farming communities and cotton farm workers, specifically on their profitability, health, and labor, reduced environmental impact of cotton production today. And really that partnerships, and you'll hear more about us working in partnerships, is the only way to deliver change on a large scale. So there's a not-for-profit membership association. We've been in existence since 2009. We work with farmers, we work with civil society, suppliers, traders, retailers, and other stakeholders. We have them all represented on our board, so they are all part of deciding of what we do, how we do it, and when we do it. What does success look like for us? Well, that are better off, especially in financial terms. So when introduce better management practices and reduce their input so that they can have a better margin on their cotton. We have cotton that's grown without undue pressure on freshwater supplies. We make sure that there's no damage done to human or environmental health. We have strong biodiversity in and around cotton farming communities, healthy soils, farmers and workers that benefit from decent working conditions. And I mentioned before that we started in 2009, so we've only been going for 3 years. But we feel that the results so far are pretty good in the areas where we measure our impact. So we have higher yields, we have less water use, we have less pesticide use, we have higher profits for better cotton farmers, and all compared to control farmers in the same regions. So the results so far. Of course, we're hoping to build on these results and ultimately be able to show a real impact. Yeah, for those of you who already know better cotton, you will know that over the last year we went through a process to set our forward strategy. So we were deciding what do we do the coming 3 years and looking into 2020 of what do we want to achieve with this initiative. We've set ourselves some quite ambitious targets where we want to, by 2015, have 22 million hectares of better cotton under cultivation. We want to reach 1 million farmers, or have 1 million better cotton farmers. And in perspective, last season we had 165,000 better cotton farmers in our programs. We have 1.5 million metric tons of better cotton lint bought by spinners. That means that we aim to produce 2.6 million metric tons. And in 2020 we aim to produce 8.2 million metric tons of better cotton. So that's equivalent to 30% almost of the global production of cotton. And as an organization, we're also aiming to be self-sufficient and implement a business model that means that we can buy our own steam without the need for philanthropic investments. But we're heading over the next few years. At the people we engage and the people in organizations like Adidas, why are organizations engaging, growing and using better cotton? I said before, we're focused on finding business benefits for everyone involved, and we believe there are clear incentives and benefits for farmers, for suppliers, and for retailers and brands to get engaged with better cotton. The past 3 years, we have learned that the system we introduced in 29 could be improved, as every practice can be improved. So forward, we are now designing new interventions to make sure that the supply chain can work as smoothly as possible, around traceability, around knowledge, and around connecting and transparency. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, about how the supply chain works. Just quick look at who are our brand and retailer members. So we have a good group of large and smaller and retailer in our community. So the likes of Adidas, H&M, IKEA, and Marks and Spencer's, for example, are what we call pioneer members. These organizations that have been investing for a long time and at a high level of investment. So they are really spearheading the initiative and taking the forefront in making this a success. Having said that, all of our retailers, I feel, are engaged, buying better cotton, providing investment into field support, and finding out how they best can use better cotton in their products. But we have another group of members, and this is the fastest growing group of members over the past few years. Suppliers and manufacturers. This is actually not all of them. We have almost 200 suppliers and manufacturers joined up now. And for me, that is the sign that the industry is really taking on and believing in better cotton, that this can be a mainstream alternative that is more sustainable. So we have suppliers and manufacturers from all over the world. We have Brazilian, Turkish, we have Indian, Pakistani, Chinese suppliers and manufacturers. We have a number of very large ones, but also small ones. We have the global traders, such as Louis Dreyfus and Olam on board as well. So if you as a brand and retailer is looking to source better cotton, and you take a look into your supply chain, hopefully you will be able to find that you're already working with suppliers who are in the system and who know how to supply you with better cotton. Apart from the suppliers and the retailers, we have 3 other membership categories. So we have associate members. These are organizations who are not commercially active in the supply chain and are not working with farmers directly. We have a group of producer organizations. So we have the farmer represented in the organization and in our governing board. We also work closely with civil society and organizations who work directly with farmers. So the whistle-stop tour about BCI, kind of who we are and where we're going, what our ambitions are. So look a bit more in detail at buying better cotton. So this is a question I get quite often from our members. How do I buy better cotton? From suppliers and from retailers alike. So my answer is there that, well, first, as a member, you participate and contribute to creating the supply, creating the fiber in the first place. And farmers, retailers and brands are required to provide investment into supply creation to ensure that the fiber is then there for them to buy. And this investment happens completely outside of the supply chain. So BCI as an organization does not intervene in the supply chain, in the commercial aspects of the supply chain. Once you've made your contribution to investing in better cotton, then it's time to get working internally. So that's when you identify suitable suppliers. And I'm sure that Ebru will tell you about suitable suppliers often being integrated mills or extended operations who have spin and fabric making and garment making. Those are the ones that are the easiest by far to start working with. And those are the ones you'd work with on clarifying your requirements and look at the available options. If a buyer is not a member, don't worry, they are still able to supply you with better cotton. It takes a bit more effort from your side because you need to help them identify the sources of supply. This is information that we give our members, but non-members cannot get it directly from us. So we have something called the bale tracking system, which is being extended into a wider traceability system this year. We will be able to find who has better cotton available and can sell it. And you procure better cotton. Better cotton today comes with something called the UBIC. That's a unique bale identification code that's attached to lint. Most of you will get that with the product that you order. From July onwards, on feedback from our supplier members and from our retailer members, we're changing this system to make it easier to track and to trace better cotton, and you won't need your UBICs anymore. But if you buy better cotton today, this is what you need to request, and then you report back to us on how much you've consumed in total. So in essence, it's there's internal work. There has been a lot of internal work over the past 3 years for a retailer to buy better cotton, to find suppliers and find the sources and keep hold of the UBIC and then report back on what you've used. Those of you who have already tried buying better cotton or already involved, you will know that we are introducing a much simpler system going forward, and that BCI are taking on more responsibilities in the supply chain to make sure that the supply chain runs as smoothly as it possibly can. So we will train suppliers and tell them how they buy it, how they handle it, and how they sell it. And we will promote these suppliers who've been trained on our website so that retailers can easily find qualified suppliers for their procurement needs. We follow the fiber all the way up to spinner level. Currently, we've been tracing it to the gin. I don't know if everyone knows what a gin is. A gin is the first step after the farm. So a gin is where seed and the cotton is removed from the fiber, and you have a product that you can spin into yarn. And traditionally, BCI have followed the better cotton till gin level and then left it to the retailer to find it from there. With the complexities of the cotton supply chain, this has proved to be quite a challenge for many. So we are now following it up to spin level. So if you work with an integrated mill, that means that they have it. We will follow it to the integrated mill, and you can have it directly from them to make it much easier moving forward. So here's a little illustration of the better cotton supply chain. You have a farmer in the beginning. He sells his cotton to the gin, who sells to the spinner, possibly via merchant, who then either is an integrated mill or sells it on to a fabric mill, and then to cut and sew and onto the finished product. And what our members need to do at each stage. A gin will log the better cotton in the BCI traceability system. They will segregate it, and they have bales of 100% better cotton. In the supply chain, the yarn spinner will also log better cotton volume procured on the traceability system, and the others will just follow our defined chain of custody requirements. The BCI does not get involved in any of the commercial aspects of the supply chain. We're acting above it as making it smooth and making it easier and making sure that all the rules are followed as they should. The fabrics and the cut and sew, they follow the chain of custody requirements, and they deliver a product to the brand in the end, who report back to BCI on how much better cotton they have consumed. And what we have here is a mass balance system. Up until now, some of our members have been implementing more of a segregation system, but it's quite onerous in the cotton supply chain and quite costly, and it has proved quite difficult. So 3 years forward, up until 2015, BCI will run a mass balance administrative system. So at the spin level, we will control volumes in and volumes out only, and we believe that this will make the supply chain run easier and smoother, and it will be much easier for retailers and brands to find and buy and use the better cotton. And because if we don't have demand running through the supply chain, the business case down at spinner, gin and farmer level is being eroded, and the whole system will function less smoothly unless we can make sure that the demand runs through the supply chain in a good way. So you have some questions. So Ebru will go through in more detail the practical examples of how Adidas have worked with the supply chain and how Adidas are kind of working going forward with the supply chain. Much more of a real experience than my experience. But I just wanted to quickly run through where you can find better cotton, where it's good, and how much we have. So in 2012, there was 670,000 metric tons better cotton produced from China, India, Mali, and Pakistan. We've just started operations in Mozambique, and this year we're also starting operations in Turkey, and later this year also hopefully in Australia. So we're making sure that we have more and more regions coming on board, making it easier for retailers to find and use the better cotton. So we have 670,000 metric tons, and in 2015 the aim is to have 2.6 million metric tons, and as I said before, over 8 million metric tons in 2020. We're going for 30% of the market share, which should make better cotton much, much easier to find and use. We also have a strategic decision that once we have enough better cotton on the market, that's when we would be able to use and introduce more physical traceability. At this point in time, we believe the mass balance administrative traceability is what helps better cotton grow and become more available. So these are the results from better cotton last year. This year we're growing still. And there's more for you to learn about BCI. Of course, we have a website that you can look at and download information and more details about the standard and about the supply chain and about chain of custody and about the rules of engagement. We have a lot of case studies to show what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how it's having an impact at farm level, how it's having an impact for women and children. And all of that is available freely to members, and some of it also to non-members. So to conclude, for BCI, there are some key characteristics that mark BCI as the upstream alternative we're aiming to be. We don't have a product label. The Mallan system and the traceability system allows you to make claims about cotton production or cotton consumption at a corporate level, but have a product label saying this is a better cotton t-shirt, requires quite a costly and tightly controlled traceability system, which would not be in line with our ambitions to make it easily available and traded at market price. So there's no product label. There will be, and there is already, claims that you can make at point of sale. So there's lots of materials for you to engage your consumers, but there are no better cotton t-shirts. Data available. So BCI sits on a massive database with data from over 100,000 farmers on what they are doing and how the results from their change in practices. And this is something that we share with our members and make available and help members use in their communications. And lastly, it's an active effort. As Ebru will tell you, it's about everyone working together. Adidas and a number of other brands, all of them identified here, are working together in a specific group to accelerate the supply creation. So in parallel or complementary to BCI, there's a program called the Better Cotton Fast Track Program. Organizations like our pioneer members, Adidas, Marks & Spencer's, IKEA, H&M and others invest to make supply come on board much faster. This is also a group that works closely together on exchanging best practices on supply chain and making sure that we can make the supply chain work as good as it possibly can. And we will also tell you more about the principles of this program, which are also the principles that BCI have, and that's that farmers are free to sell the cotton to whomever they want at whatever price they can get. We don't get involved in that. So everyone investing and the resulting supply is available for anyone to buy. Buy and use better cotton, there's no requirement on membership, but to communicate about better cotton, there is requirement on membership. As a member, you have access to the global pool of better cotton and not just from one product. So that means that your suppliers can source from wherever it's most convenient for them and in whatever qualities they need. They're not being locked into a specific project or a very small pool of supply. So it's very a collective effort where we all invest together and where it's all in pre-competitive nature, trying to make sure that we can pull it through the supply chain and make it work. And BCI, its members, and Better Cotton, it's all about transformation. Our aim is to transform the whole cotton sector. So that's it. Thank you. Looking forward to hearing from Ebru about the practical experience of buying better cotton.
Thank you very much, Lena. I'm now going to go ahead and hand it over to Ebru, who will be giving us their perspectives from Adidas. Ebru there?
I'm here.
Great.
So this is Ebru from Adidas Group, located in LO, Istanbul, and working for Adidas more than 15 years. I am representing the sourcing part of implementation part of the whole supply chain for Turkey and other sustainable initiatives. So today I will be talking about the implementation of Better Cotton. Today's work, actually the journey starts for us with 2010 when Adidas Group have developed a coherent environmental strategy building on several environmental initiatives over the past years. And with that, the decision is given actually that we will go 100% sustainable cotton by 2018. Up in 2011 with the first harvest of BCI, actually we were able to source 23 tons of better cotton, and we used it in one of our Adidas products. You can see a smiley face in the middle of the picture. This is me, and actually smiling, think that that is an easy goal, but actually not knowing the challenges coming up. Moreover, actually looking into the implementation of changing the whole volume into BCI, that's a different story than just sourcing 23 tons. So the implementation plan is for us, for our company, is a supply chain driven strategy. What does that mean? That means that even though right now being a pioneer member and also funding and investing to field support through Better Cotton Track Fund, our aim and our intention is to make sure that the industry itself and the players within the supplier chain also take the ownership of Better Cotton Initiative and become members of Better Cotton and start working on understanding what it is and take, not sit at the back, but take the driver's seat. So what we have done is, while we were creating our strategy, we have calculated the total cotton volume usage in a year and then just put it into our strategy 2018. And basing on the targets of Better Cotton Initiative, we also based our targets of increasing our volume of better cotton usage within a year. From 5% in 2012, and actually I'm happy to say we hit our targets, we will moving gradually to 100%, up to close to 100% by 2018 by Better Cotton. Approaching to this, actually we will be doing it, or we already started doing it in a phased manner. So we, in the first phase, actually we focus on our major suppliers, which has less complex sourcing supply chains, and we started create strategy together with them, and also involving their supplier base into this strategy, working together, mapping out their supplier chains. With phase 2, we will, 2015, with achieving when BCI achieves the targets that Lena already introduced to all of you, we will be able to introduce more and more suppliers into this sourcing of better cotton. And phase 3 will be covering up all our suppliers using better cotton. Creating the SI, as Elena mentioned about Better Cotton Fast Track program, what we do is, together with the other partners in the program, every year we sign off Better Cotton projects based on the targets of Better Cotton Initiative and also the brands. But while we are doing the sign off, it is important and to consider the amount of impact that these projects are doing on the social aspects and environmental aspects. So it is important to be able to reach out as much as possible to smallholder farmers, while keeping in mind the business part of it, which is to creating more supply than the demand. We will also turn this initiative into higher volumes, which we are looking into, replacing the conventional cotton with BCI in the long future. So we are trying to create a common pool of better cotton. As I mentioned, the projects do not belong to anybody or not a limited resource to a certain targeted companies. So it is just creating a pool of better cotton. We are creating a supply. We have to connect the supply with the demand. The demand is coming from our supplier base. How do we do this? Actually, we work with our garment manufacturers and fabric mills very closely. So we are in contact with our suppliers, and we share 3-year targets with them every year, showing them the bigger picture. And then 3 months before each harvesting time, we sit table and sign off together based on their forecast and capability, the amount of BCI cotton they would be sourcing during that harvesting period. That would mean a year period of time for them to use that better cotton. And of learning again, every year looking at the data that we collected in that previous year, we update our projections and also our numbers. The sourcing of better cotton is no different than a conventional cotton. So there are projects out there. Some suppliers do have connections with the projects. They book their cottons, or they just have relationship with those with those project owners or with those farmers or ginners, and this is how it works with conventional cotton. So it is clear that everybody has equal opportunity to get the better cotton out of these projects. Supply and demand, that brings us to the supplier chain. Actually, as Lena mentioned, we have mapped our supply chain. And the supply chain that we have is actually on 4 flows. So from ginner, we will either have a direct connection with spinner or through a trader. But then the most complex supply chain is spinner, trade at the yarn level, and then moving to a fabric supplier and a garment supplier. There we will be moving into another supply chain where the spinner buys the bale, and then that goes directly to a fabric supplier without a trader and moves to the garment manufacturer. From trader again, or from ginner directly to spinner, the yarn that contains better cotton moves into a workwear which produces fabric and garment. The supply chain is actually the 4th one, which is having a full vertical supplier which just buys the bale and then produce the yarn, fabric, and the garment. What we tried to do is actually start with these 3 base where we can have the most control, and it will be easy to roll out the message because there are not too many parties involved in. When we talk about the supply chain flow, actually, that also brings us the concept of traceability. Lena has touched on traceability. I will not talk much about it, but actually what we do as a brand is that we are working very closely with our cut and sew, that's our garment makers, and our fabric mills, for them to report back to us the yarn batch and the connected numbers to yarn batches, so that as a brand we are sure that we have the better cotton bale numbers into our products, and those fabrics are connected into our products, and then we can report back to Better Cotton the amount of cotton we use in our products in a year. That is actually needed at this point of time for declaration. All these things are kind of work in progress, so I think by end of February we will have more clear definition how we will continue doing this traceability, which will again bring us some clarity, and to our suppliers that moving forward that will become more simple for them in a couple of years to support the supply chain to get used to the system, and also meanwhile increase the demand, increase the supply, and make it easier for everybody in the future to be able to reach to and work with Better Cotton. Talking about those things, I would also like to talk about the challenges, and after the challenges, talk about the opportunities. Actually, challenges and opportunities are not very different from each other. In a sense, now what our challenge is actually the limited transparency in the supply chain. We have a good transparency, I should say, structures and at fabric mill level. To a level, yes, we have transparency, but from there to the level or to the farm level, we don't have much transparency. Out of these 3 years that we are working together with our suppliers, I admit we have much better transparency, but still, cotton is a commodity that is being traded, and trade depends on many things. So there is the effect from the price of it, the government policy, and all those things. So the sourcing chain is not really stable. I mean, we have companies who have been sourcing over 10 years from one country. The origin is country, but all of a sudden, because of policy changes, government policy changes, and also because of the prices in different parts of the world, they change their country for cotton. So these things do happen, and we have to accept the fact that we have a supply chain which will not be perfectly stable, but at least more transparent and maybe more stable, so to say. Better cotton is also not available in all regions, so that is also bringing a limitation to our supplier base, who are located in different parts of the world and who have different habits of sourcing cotton from different parts of the world. So this limitation is jumping to the next point, bringing some disadvantages regarding the cost. Be flexible of sourcing from all regions, and that also the location of the supplier, the fabric mill, and the garment maker is important also on the cost of transportation, other things. We are facing certain challenges in terms of cost of better today. Tomorrow, when the supply and demand will have a good balance and cotton will be available everywhere, we will not face this problem. Trade is another point I would call as a challenge. Today, this is something that is not being explored completely, and there are not ready solutions out there for us just to, get and start using it. So we have solutions which might turn out to be costly or time-consuming, that is, things that not user-friendly to our suppliers. So when we manage to find the optimum way of tracing, then that will also support the whole initiative to become more easy. All challenges, if we get over them, will turn into opportunities, because we will be having a more transparent supply chain with more stability. And what does that mean? That means we will have and we will be able to measure the impact that we are having to environment and to social aspects of the business that we are doing. And also we will be able to have better quality controls, more in production, and that will definitely benefit the business. Better cotton available in all regions will also support us in terms of offsetting the disadvantages that was bringing some impact to the cost that our suppliers have been bearing. As I mentioned, the front-runner companies will be able to set up a good traceability system, which is not only for better cotton, but I believe for the sustainable materials that is going to be used, and is going to bring a more transparent and more integrity to those who have been in this work already for a long time. That will be an advantage definitely for us going further. So in this long run, so to say, that started in 2010 and aiming to have a solid result by 2018 with 100% sustainable cotton content in all our products, we are working with steady steps together with BCI to and also get our suppliers fully feeling responsible to be a part of this initiative. Well, actually, from my side,
thank you, Ebru, for your presentation. So pretty much now that we have some time, we're going to go over our Q&A session. So for all our attendees out there, just as a reminder, submit a question by typing into the Q&A box on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start with our first question. I believe this one's directed towards Lena. Do founding companies engage to buy better cotton? If yes, how much of their needs? I've looked into the Q&A box and see some of the questions as well to follow along.
Yes. So companies are required to buy better cotton. Retailers and brands who join are required to have a cotton strategy where they commit to buying increasing volumes of better cotton. We do not set an absolute number, though. We don't tell them they have to be 25% or so. And in the Better Cotton Fast Track program, where Adidas is a member, all of the companies joining that coalition, which also contains public funders, by the way, set 100% targets or on a time scale to buy better cotton.
Thank you for that answer. This question's for Ebru. Ebru, is Adidas planning to communicate about BCI to its customers anytime soon?
We're communicating it through our environmental strategy yearly report, so to say, in terms of total volume used in Adidas consumption, but not directly to customers on any garments. That is not allowed at this point of time.
Okay, thank you for that. This question is for Lena. You currently have over 100,000 farmers with an objective of 5 million. The number of farmers is in the hundreds of millions. What are keys to taking this to scale at farm level when most retailers believe their responsibility stops at the mill?
Yes, thank you. So the number of farmers, yes, I have numbers that the people engaged in primary production, so that's also some processing, is about 250 million people. That's workers as well. So scale, of course, 5 million still requires a whole lot of farmers to engage. Our initial strategy here is to balance reaching out to 5 million farmers, the majority of who will be smallholders, but also to generate volume through getting better cotton out of countries such as Brazil, US, and Australia, so that we have the volume. And then with the business model we're launching this year, where procurement will be linked to investment in supply, we're setting up a model where we can continue to scale up and reach smallholder farmers and much bigger numbers.
Okay, great. The next one is a pretty quick question. Is BCI GMO free?
We are technology neutral. We have guidance on GMO in terms of information and understanding, but we don't ban it, no.
Okay, thank you for that. Again, for Lena, do you have mutual recognition of other cotton standards?
Yes. So we have a partnership, for example, with Cotton Made in Africa. So cotton made in Africa, cotton that's grown under the Cotton Made in Africa standard. The vast majority of that can be sold as better cotton as well. So instead of introducing parallel structures, we have done a benchmarking with their standard and recognize CA as better cotton.
Okay, great. This question is for Ebru. Do you have any examples where suppliers have resisted your request to get involved in BCI?
Actually, I wouldn't call it a resistance, but I would call it a discomfort, so because it's not easy to change a complete supply chain. But we have been very positive about the whole ending of this chain working together with us, and this has ended up very positive actually with the first season start.
Okay. And I guess kind of following on to that, you can work with the figures if you like. The cost of better cotton was highlighted as a barrier to Adidas. So what is the % cost increase of better cotton as seen by Adidas, and how do you propose these additional costs will be borne?
Actually, BCI cotton is, the whole initiative depends on the fact that it should not bring an additional cost to any parties. Only by this way we can make it a commodity item. That means not a niche item. So we have clear statements that we will not accept any extra costs coming out of better cotton. So we have found the right ways, I think, with our supplier base to offset any of those additional costs.
And now a question back to Lena. How does better cotton compare to traditional or organic cotton in terms of quality at the end product?
Well, it should be the same. There are no practices introduced that affect the quality of the fiber itself. That's determined by the species, the type of cotton sow, and the climatic and soil conditions. So in terms of the fiber, it's the same.
Okay. So this is kind of going back into cost, but for Lena, how do BCI ensure that better cotton is sold at the same price as the general cotton market? Is it linked, and who pays the excess if general cotton prices fall?
The better cotton system and BCI runs outside of all commercial negotiation. We don't get involved in any price discussions. What we do is collect evidence from our suppliers and from our farmers and from the retailers to find out and learn if anything in the practices we're introducing is causing costs to appear. And then we look at how can we make the system more efficient so that we're not loading costs into the supply chain. So we're very conscious of us not causing additional costs where not required. But as an organization, we don't get involved in the price at all.
Okay, thanks for that. This question is for Ebru. From 2011, 23 tons were procured, according to the slide. Did the figure increase at all in 2012?
This figure has a significant increase in 2012. I can say around times 100. So yes, it did.
Thank you. Then another question for you, Ebru. What are your experiences dealing with suppliers asking for a premium for better cotton, and how do you deal with this?
I think this question is pretty similar to the question before regarding prices. So yes, there are people out there asking for premiums, but the message is clear from us to suppliers and from suppliers back to them. So we find ways of, offsetting these upcharges. Call it upcharges, the cost of better cotton, because as I said, it could be only a transportation cost that he wouldn't do it if he bought from the same country. So this is case by case and depends on the relation.
Thank you. And now for Lena, is farm compliance with better cotton requirements solely based on self-assessments?
No, it's not. We have a multi-layer system for verifying the better cotton fiber at the end. So it starts with self-assessment by the farmers in peer groups. We work with implementing partners that I mentioned before. They can be civil society groups. They could also be organizations like Cotton Connect, for example, or suppliers, mills who work with projects. They do checking, so second-party kind of monitoring of implementation of the practices. And we have better cotton staff in the regions who visit the projects for monitoring and support as well. And then as a last step, we have BCI organizes and pays for third-party verification of smallholders as well. not everyone is third-party verified. Because of the multi-layer system, we have a sample-based approach to third-party verification.
Thank you, Lena. I think I'm going to go ahead and go over about 2 more questions. We have quite a few coming in, and I'm going to try to get a hold of them all. So, Lena, we have a question here about the U.S. supply chain. Will BCI center at all in the U.S. supply chain? Any challenges for the U.S. to enter BCI, or I guess U.S. businesses?
Yes, so we are in dialogue with the U.S. cotton producer. So we've had a dialogue for a long time with Cotton Inc. and the National Cotton Council, and we're looking at ways that we could work with U.S. cotton growers to get U.S. cotton on board. Obviously, the challenges with U.S. are hugely different from implementing it in a country like Mali, for example, or China. But the U.S. is very much one of the countries we're hoping to operate in, hopefully from next year.
Okay, thank you for that, Lena. For Ebru, this question here asks about your targets. Are Adidas's interim targets for the proportion of better cotton on the way to 100% made public?
What is the proportion when it's... I'm not clear about the question.
Just from what I see here, I think they're just trying to find out what your targets are and if it's made public by certain dates or on the way to 100%, but if you make public some of your targets on your website.
Remember, 2015 has been made public with 40% and 2018 as 100% sustainable cotton.
Thank you for that. So I think this one will be the last question, and it's directed at Lena, but Ebru, if you have any thoughts on this would be great as well. So, Lena, you now have many retailers on board. Is there a major cotton-using sector that has not yet stepped up?
So there are still quite a few cotton-using sectors. So we worked with kind of home textiles and fashion with the retailers. Of course, we have public procurement, hospitals, hotels. We have some pretty big cotton users not engaged yet, which we would love to engage going forward.
Okay. I think we've gotten to the end of our Q&A session. We have a few left over, but we're kind of running short on time. So, Ebru and Lena, if you'd be happy to address these after the session, that would be great. I can go ahead and pass them on. So, now that we've kind of closed for the day, I'd just like to say thank you to all of our attendees out there. Thanks very much for your questions, comments, and any ideas that you threw out. And a big thanks to you, Ebru and Lena, for joining us today. It seems to be a very interactive session, and more than happy to have you with us today. So, all of our attendees, the audio recording and video and relevant links will be posted shortly on the supply chain group on 2 Degrees. Once again, thank you to our presenters and to our attendees. Thanks again. Have a great day.